This is YG and YG Workshop, presented by First Federal Bank and sponsored by Circle Electric and Health Payment Systems. I'm your host, David Belman, president of Belman Homes. Today, my team and I are collaborating to help Earl and Ken of Lisbon Creek Systems. Let's meet the panel.
Hi, I'm Ariel Kopac with Harness Your Hindrance. I help business owners and sales professionals take control of the hindrances of their business by identifying their mental and emotional roadblocks.
Hi, I'm Lori Highby, president and owner of Keystone Click. We're a strategic digital marketing agency helping our clients build brand awareness, generate leads, and nurture those opportunities online.
Hi, I'm Mervyn Byrd. I am a Vistage chair. I run a CEO peer advisory group here in the greater Milwaukee area.
Welcome to YG Workshop presented by First Federal Bank. I'm joined here today by Earl Zeebel and Ken Vandervest of Lisbon Creek Systems. How are you guys doing today?
Wonderful.
Doing pretty good.
Fantastic. So tell me your story about how you guys started your company.
Well, we met at another company that we used to work for, and we worked together for about 5 years. That was about 2012. And Earl was on the technical side, the engineering side. I was on the sales side. And so when you get a project, you need help putting all the pieces together. And Earl did a wonderful job with that. And we started doing more projects together and got along really good. He was a huge help putting together all those pieces, and I could concentrate more on the sales part, developing business, finding the opportunities, setting the appointments, giving the initial presentations, and then we would set up a demo and find out the customer's needs. Earl would ask a lot of questions. He'd do a wonderful job demoing the equipment, different options, and then customers, of course, would tell you what they were thinking, and it just worked wonderful. We started having chats about starting our own business together, and in 2016 we got that going after much talk, and was a very exciting time. And we serve small to medium businesses, and we are a technology company, so we do security systems, camera systems, card access systems, telephone systems, phone service. Boy, low voltage industry is, big industry. And, I think the big thing that we were hearing from clients is, hey, can you help out with this? Can you help out with that? And, we wanted to be able to serve our clients more and get more opportunities. And in May will be 5 years that we've been in business.
Congratulations. Well, it sounds like you guys are doing very well. So what, Earl, tell me a little bit about what makes your business unique from other companies that do something like this?
Yeah, so we came from just a company that did security. They focused, and they're a great company, but they just focus on electronic security. We wanted to serve, like Ken said, more of the technology needs for a small to medium business. We couldn't do telephone systems, we couldn't do AV. So you can have a communications company that does voice and data, and you can have a security company that does all the facets of security and fire, but it's pretty unique to find a company that brings all those things together and can provide all the tech that a business would need.
Yeah, and I heard you guys mention you guys are sort of a one-stop shop, right? So you can kind of help out with all the different parts and pieces, and you're primarily business to business, is that correct?
Yes, yep, yeah, we don't do a ton of residential. Sometimes we'll get residential opportunities from our business owners that ask us to help out with their home security or communications.
Okay, fantastic. So you guys came here because you have some challenges that you're dealing with. So what is the most pressing question that you guys have right now for your business? What's challenging you guys right now?
So I would say we've got some wonderful customers. a lot of wonderful customers, and we have a wonderful team. So it's not really the personnel that we struggle with, although we have had some hires in the past that have maybe not gone as well as we had thought in the interview. But it's really the process, nailing down the day-to-day processes. It seems like we struggle with things, slipping through the cracks, whether it's returning a call for a customer that was requiring some help and support, whether it's making sure something got billed. We started with different softwares and we've tried different softwares, and usually it's pretty hard to find one software that does everything that your business needs to manage and sell and quote and invoice. So I think that's the thing that we're struggling with, is how to improve our process. What can we do to improve our process?
That's a great question, and most businesses, especially growing businesses, that's one of the big challenges, right? Is how do you keep everything rolling? How do you keep everything going when you're growing, and then be consistent with systems? So I think that's a fantastic question, and we're gonna get to that in a minute. But in order to really answer that question well, our panelists here, they're smart people. They've got some questions for you guys and learn a little bit about how you guys operate and things like that. So who's got a question for Ken and Earl?
I'd love to hear a little bit more about your team. You said you have a fantastic team, wonderful personnel, but you're struggling on the process and systems piece. So what does your personnel specialize? Are they more tech, more sales, process? What does your team specialize in?
Well, we have a marketing department. Julie does a wonderful job for us, finding those opportunities, the impending events, basically customers that are moving. That is an ideal situation because they're going to need all the cabling done, all these different technologies set up at their new space. So those are great opportunities. She, has different avenues, does a great job setting that appointment, and then I do the initial presentation, explain different options to people, and get a feel for what they're looking for. And then if it's something that I can continue to take through the process, then I'll have Eric in our estimating department put together the proposal. If I feel there's more demonstrations that need to be done, then I'll bring in Earl and the decision makers. And like I said earlier, Earl does a wonderful job with that part. So that's on the sales side. We do have maybe Matthew once in a while doing some estimates along with Eric. I'll do some estimates. And then our field team is Asa, Jose, Matthew, Jeremiah, and they do a wonderful job installing all the products. And then our office staff, Kathy and Eric, do a wonderful job there, confirming appointments, installs, ordering parts, making sure everything's ready to go. Did I miss anybody?
Mike in the office?
Mike, yeah, billing.
Trying to make sure invoices are getting sent out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
How do you communicate the expectations to your team and then ensure that there's some sort of feedback that they're fulfilling those expectations?
So we've got the software used to estimate our projects has places to communicate things. Also, we have a Monday morning meeting. So we make breakfast for our team. We all sit together in a conference room, look at our displays, go through the problems of the past week, and then the installs that are coming up this next week. But that's kind of our one chance during the week to just talk about projects, what happened, what went wrong, what went right. Make sure we, did we bill everything from last week? So I think it's a combination of both electronic communications and in person, going through the schedule, going through the jobs that were sold. That answer the question?
To some extent, that sounds very short term though,
Okay.
by week basis. But like as you onboard a new team member or just in general, what is that process to ensure that something is getting billed or that the customer is getting responded to in a timely fashion? Is that communicated on a high level?
Yeah, that's what we're working on improving. We did bring Kathy on as our office manager. That was a fairly recent development for us. We realized things were slipping through the cracks, and hey, maybe it's time to have somebody come in that's going to be dedicated to, making sure everything that we're getting billed for, we're billing for. So that has helped. She's definitely found a lot of things that we've missed, and she's also trying to document processes that we're doing because we know what to do day to day. Ken does what he does wonderfully, and all our field people do what they do. But as far as developing an employee handbook, that's kind of what she's been trying to document as far as process day to day.
we're just getting started. Let's take a quick break and come back for more with Earl Highby and Ken Vandervest. This episode of YG Workshop, presented by First Federal Bank, is brought to you by Health Payment Systems and Circle Electric.
Welcome to First Federal Bank of Wisconsin. Here at the bank, we pride ourselves on providing the community bank difference. To us, it's more than a tagline, it's how we serve our customers and support our communities. When you work with us, you can expect quick local decision making, a great customer experience, and a significant community commitment. As experts in the products and services we provide, we are here to help you achieve your financial goals. Proudly serving the Milwaukee metropolitan area since 1922, we look forward to serving you and showing you what the community bank difference is all about.
Circle Electric is a 35-year commercial, industrial, and healthcare electrical contractor with engineers and designers on staff, backed by the most technical and well-trained master and journeyman electricians. Whether it's an equipment move, new building, or commercial remodel, from pre-construction all the way through startup, primary power, branch power, or low voltage systems, they are here to support you. Our 24/7 on-call service department is here to meet your electrical needs for our industrial and healthcare customers. You always hear safety first. They are safety always. Circle Electric will maintain electrical reliability for business continuity.
For more than 80% of families, today's medical billing practices are confusing. At HPS, our goal is to improve the healthcare experience for the patient by making medical bill payments less stressful. In Wisconsin, that's all made possible by our comprehensive independent healthcare provider network. We simplify billing and lower costs for everyone involved in healthcare and offer various ways for individuals to pay without breaking the bank.
Mervyn, you got a
I
question?
do. So you gentlemen are partners, 50-50 partners. Tell me your decision-making process when, if something happens where, Ken, you were thinking one direction, Eric, Earl too.
Eric's on our team.
Eric,
That's
yes,
my
Eric.
brother, yes.
And Earl too. So what happens when you guys are different in your opinion on a direction you should go? How do you guys handle that situation?
Well, I would say we do really good with that. We just talk about it. Sometimes we stay after work. When we go to appointments, we drive together. Both of our goals is to come out and make the right decision and grow the business. And yeah, there's really no problem with that. You know, you just talk things through and, hey, what do you think? So yeah, I don't think there's any issues there.
Okay. So if you're really feeling strongly one way and Earl's feeling really strongly another way, I'm trying to get to this. You feel where I'm going here?
Yeah,
what do you guys do?
I don't know as if we've actually, have we had an argument in 10 years?
Not.
Let's air your dirty laundry.
No, seriously. The company we left had two partners, two 50-50 owners, and I think they were pretty good too about how they, relate to each other. Ken's got his areas of expertise in sales and marketing, and I've got mine in the technical side. The worst case scenario would be if I think he sold something that maybe was a little skinny, maybe I'd wonder why. But he's just as much of an owner as I am, and maybe he saw something in the customer that he said, well, we want to get this opportunity because I think it's going to lead to. I wouldn't question his judgment. I have full faith and confidence in him as my business partner. We had that relationship at our previous employer where we knew we could trust each other. So it's been a wonderful working relationship, honestly.
I think we know who each other is. I definitely don't know the technical stuff, so I never try and, no, we should go with this. That's definitely his area.
So this kind of dovetails into the question that I had, and Ken, you're kind of the sales guy, and Earl, you're more the technical guy. But it sounds like when I talked to Julie, one thing that your company does a lot, which can be good, but can also be troublesome, is that a lot of times, Earl, you get pulled into the sales meeting to help inform the customer of some of the solutions and products. Is that correct?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So while that's good to be able to meet the owner, it also pulls you away from, and is that something that you notice happening, is that, do you feel like your time is challenged?
Absolutely. Yeah, no question. Yeah, sometimes I go through the week and I'm like, what did I get done? So yeah, definitely struggle with time management, and you want to take care of your employees when they're struggling. You want to take care of your customers when they're looking for help, and just trying to balance that and understand, how do we grow the business and yet have the business sustain what it's supposed to do day to day,
Keep that in your back of your mind, okay? We're going to get to that in a little bit. Ariel, you have any other questions?
I do. From Mervyn's question, we gathered you have a lot of trust in your relationship, and you trust each other both in your roles and as an owner to find the problem, fix the problem, and deal with it, right?
Yep.
I'm curious about your communication with your team on that aspect. Do your team members have that same sense of trust from you, autonomy to identify and solve the problem proactively, rather than waiting till the Monday morning meeting and talking about what problems came up?
And that was, do they trust us, or do they feel like we trust them?
Do they feel like you trust them to identify and solve problems?
Yeah, I think so. I try hard not to micromanage people because I want people to feel like they can control what they're being responsible to. And maybe we don't always do a great job of holding people accountable and saying, hey, I asked this, how come it didn't get responded to? And part of that is just maybe not wanting to be a jerk of a boss or an owner, and you want to, have everybody feel like they're in a work environment that they feel safe in and comfortable, and so maybe that's. But yeah, I think it's a blessing to have competent people working for you, and to feel like, hey, if we need to go out of town, which we'll be doing next week, things are going to be taken care of, and so. Yeah, I think they trust, or we.
Absolutely. I mean, everybody tries really hard. When you have a techie issue, there's got to be a lot of communication and talking it through, and I think that's just always going to be there. There's always something a little different on every job that you got to kind of talk through. And
in my research, I saw something about spot the problem. Could you tell us a little bit about what that is with spotting the problem to expand the awareness of your team members?
Can you be more specific?
Yeah.
I saw something online about from Julie about spot the problem, and there was a picture of a technical issue.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So that's our. I was like, is this on our website? Because it's not. Yes. So Matthew is our field engineer, and he is managing our field operations. And he started a little in-office game where we're all in the same text thread, and he'll take a picture of something that maybe a competitor did. And say, spot the problem, what did they do wrong? And we're not trying to bash anybody, it's just like, hey, let's learn from this. They made a mistake, this caused a problem that we had to solve. So, yeah, that's always fun. And more of the team members are going out in the field and saying, spot the problem. We installed an intercom recently, and a gal was coming into her office, and she sets her cup of coffee on top of the intercom, and Asa's like, this is interesting. Our intercom doubles as a beverage holder,
Probably not a good thing for technology.
No, not if it gets spilled, but yeah, she was waiting to get in or trying to get access to the building or something like that. But it's fun. I mean, we try to promote that team environment, make everybody feel like they're.
Sounds like a good culture.
Yeah. Yep.
Lori, do you have any other questions
I
for
do. You talked a lot about software and trying to find processes and efficiencies within the different software, and I'm curious why so much emphasis on finding a specific tool.
I think getting things just to flow naturally, without having to put this amount of time or thought into this step. Is there 10 steps? You got the setting up the meeting, the presentation, getting the approval, ordering the parts, confirming some more items, maybe some more emails come in, maybe you work on 5 more projects, and now you finally get that email with those answers, and we got some bad parts. It seems to stretch out a little ways, and you document. And when you have a business, you want it to just flow naturally, and then also keep in mind that you want it to be able to work when you're not there. So, do you have something to add to that?
And I think the software piece is how we all stay in contact.
Sure.
How the techs are checking the job on their phones, how the accounting department is making sure things are getting invoiced. So
Yeah.
I know, Julie starts with one CRM. Well, that really doesn't talk to our other software. And we had our job management software connected with QuickBooks, but those weren't talking well, and it was causing issues with billing and taxing, and we had to break that connection. So yeah, I'm not saying that if we found the right software, that's going to solve all our problems, but I think it's going to be a integral part of how we all communicate with our customers, build them, support them, that whole thing.
The quality of the tool is going to be based on how everyone is using it.
Inputting
That
information.
process,
I know, and we have that issue now.
Yeah,
I know it's not going to fix everything.
Sure. Okay. Good.
Mervyn,
I do.
last question.
So when you started introducing what it is you do, you mentioned a lot of products and services, and our client said, hey, can you do this? And we kind of bolted that on as well. What's your strength?
Technology and security. So yeah, we love to bring all the components of technology. Every business needs a strong data network. They need a voice network they can communicate with their personnel and their customers. They may want security. They may want cameras, and they want to restrict access who's coming in and out of the building. So even though we do not just focus on security, we don't just focus on phones, we focus on all of those. To me, being in technology for 20 plus years, we run a wire to a device and it's connected to a head end, and there's a software and the customer has some interface with it. So to translate that between systems, it's all that electronic technology. So yeah, if we can be, we've had customers say, hey, who do you think your competition is? And we're like, we don't know anybody directly that provides this portfolio of services and does it well like we do, And for a contractor that might hire us and say, hey, we need you to bid on all these different systems, if we can give them one package for everything, that's a whole bunch of less phone calls they have to make to coordinate all the technology, broker the internet, get the phone service going. So yeah, we love to supply all that stuff and just provide all those solutions, and then support them.
And you find, you mentioned the word, are you finding you're excellent at each and every one of those?
I would say absolutely. Yeah, we are. And AV is a section that we're trying to grow in and partner with companies that are good at AV. To be honest, we don't do a lot of AV. So we don't focus on that. We don't advertise it a ton. But the things that we do very well. Yeah.
Okay. Great question, Mervyn.
And it can be challenging hiring new techs because they've got to learn all this fun stuff,
Sure.
So there's a lot of learning in the field, and again, we try to.
It's changing all the time too.
And it's changing, updating,
absolutely.
and firmware. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay, so I think we've got kind of a good picture of what you guys are doing and how your business operates. So we're going to pivot back to the question that you originally asked, which was, you guys are struggling a little bit with your day-to-day systems, right? And your question was, you're seeing some things slip through the cracks and you want some assistance with how do you button things down a little bit further and smooth out the operations. Is that
is
generally
correct.
what you're trying to get at? Okay.
Absolutely.
Great. So who's got some advice for Earl and Ken here? Who wants to
I'll
jump
go
in?
first. I've got two thoughts. First off, I'm a big fan of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Okay.
And my favorite habit is start with the end in mind. So if you have a very specific goal that you're trying to achieve, which is streamlining the processes, map out, this is where I want to be, and work backwards. And this is how I'm going to get there and get the team there. The second thought I had is what gets measured is what gets changed. So if you're losing calls, you're not calling people back in the right time, document that. How many calls did we make today? How many calls did we miss today? And just keep a spreadsheet and look at that in your Monday meeting and have these conversations. How many invoices did we miss? How many went out today?
Yeah, great advice.
Playing off of that a little bit, after you begin with the end in mind, think about your plan overall. So what is the communication plan and the process that you want to have? Instead of relying on a tool and thinking that a tool will solve it, figure out what it is that you want your plan to be, and then what tools can you put in place to make that happen. Because one software, one tool is not going to solve all your problems. And if you do find that magical tool, as soon as you implement it, you're going to change something in your process that no longer makes that tool applicable. So you want to start with your process and your people first, and then apply the tools or the software that will make that work and that will work for your people, rather than thinking that the tool is going to solve it.
That's great.
So each piece, after you begin with the end in mind, go through that and then ask your team what tool would be best for you and how you work and what we're trying to accomplish. And that tool can change, but your people and your process probably won't.
Yeah.
Mervyn, you got some advice?
Yeah, I do.
I see you beaming. You're ready.
I think we're kind of all on the same wavelength here today. What I want to say to you, gentlemen, is take some time to work on your business. It seems to me like you are inundated in the mix of it all day to day.
Yep.
When is it that the two of you get away outside of the organization and you work strategically on your business? I can't tell you how many times I hear companies that say, man, we don't do any strategic planning. And I just want to go, oh my gosh, how can you not do strategic planning? Get away. Work on that business. Get all of these processes, figure it out, and then you can bring that back to the team and work the fine tuning on it, therefore. So I say get away, work on the business, get out of the day-to-day, right? Even your question was, how do we do with the day-to-day stuff? And who's doing the 30,000-foot view for you guys?
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm going to tack onto that advice because it's great advice. So have you guys ever heard of the book, The E-Myth? Okay. I want you guys to get the E-Myth because the E-Myth is fantastic for small businesses. Basically, what's in the E-Myth is, and this is what's kind of happening with you guys, and it happens with most medium-sized businesses, is that the owner of the business gets pulled, and you are both owners, you get pulled in different directions, right? And you get kind of caught in a lot of things, and that pulls you away from that big picture that everyone is kind of talking about here. So part of it is understanding that you've got to be able to delegate to people. You've got to pull yourself out of some of those day-to-day things. And there's some things that you can do specifically, as the owner to do that. So I want you to think a little bit about how you can leverage yourself and leverage your time a little bit more. So, Earl, you've got a lot of technical knowledge. Maybe it's recording when you have a client meeting, recording you talking about the specific product. Then you share that with the team. And then that way you don't necessarily have to, go and train everybody every single time. You can take those snippets that are recorded and leverage them and use them later. Or you could use those in sales meetings. Here's Earl talking about the specific, security device and how it works and what makes it better than something else. Now you don't have to be in that sales meeting every single time. You can use that as a tool. And then just to tack onto that, the other thing is looking at your time, and in order to get that strategic element, being able to do something that I call a default calendar. And what a default calendar is you set aside blocks of time during a week just to work on the business. And it's non-negotiable, right? Yeah, so you're laughing, but right, it's true.
What if my wife calls?
It's non-negotiable, right? So whether it's 2 hours or whatever, you try and set aside that time. Now, if something catastrophic happens, you can move it, but you want to save that. Save that block of time. And make sure that you're using that. I'm just going to work on documenting this process. I'm going to work on this video, or I'm going to spend 2 hours planning, the next
and I think
sales meeting.
Ken and I do really well when we work together, and when we do set that time aside, we're like, man, that was productive. It happened after hours because then I didn't get emails and phone calls and text messages, and sometimes that's what we would do is do it after hours, but I can appreciate that.
Great. Other advice that you guys have for them?
No, just even what you just said, you want to buy back your time. I mean, part of the reason why you want to be a business owner is to control your time, and right? So you want to be able to buy back your time. So how do you buy back your time? You get out of the day-to-day and you really focus on the stuff that's important. Things that other people can handle, give it to them. Let them handle it.
And I know when they can't reach you, then they probably grow because they find the answer themselves, or they call for support somewhere else. Yeah.
And a small shift that can help is, instead of, as a business owner, when you've built a business, it's always, how can I do more, right? How can I accomplish more? How can I do more? Shift that to, how can I leverage more? Whenever you start to ask yourself, how can I do more? Stop and think, how can I leverage more? Leverage your people, leverage your time, leverage your intellect, your skill set, your resources. How can I leverage more instead of do more?
Yep, that's great advice. And I think the other thing, just as advice for you, you guys have a lot of different directions you can go with products and different solutions. Really master one thing, and then you can add on something else. When you feel like you've nailed, okay, we've got, whatever it is, phone services and security, we've got that down. And once you've tightened that up really well, now we can add on maybe the video services or what, or AV. And so don't necessarily feel like you got to be everything to everybody. Get really good at those core things that you're doing first. Once you've mastered those, then you can start to scale up and add on more things. So I think if you use that mentality, that will help you guys as well. Any other advice that you have?
Yeah, I have another book to recommend.
Okay, fantastic.
You got a lot of reading to do here. Traction.
Okay.
It's the entrepreneurial operating system, and it helps you define, as Ariel was talking about, people and processes, but also really makes you take time out of your business to work on it, which I think is extremely important.
Traction, E-Myth, okay.
What was the other book?
That was the second book. You said
I said
E-Myth.
You said Traction, but we have
Seven Habits of Highly Effective.
7 Habits of Highly
Yeah.
Effective People.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we're going to have like a recommended reading list going forward.
Be in the show notes.
Yeah, there you go. So obviously we threw a lot of different stuff at you, a lot of different ideas and concepts. Earl, Ken, what do you guys think was the biggest takeaway for you guys as far as the advice that we gave you? What's sticking with you?
Yeah, I like what you said very much. And I think afterwards, I want to get a pen and paper and write it down exactly and review it. Because something about moving backwards and then you're not going to find a software. I mean, that's great to hear. It's just not there. And then you're going to, I want to discover.
The good news is it's recorded.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You can play it back.
Yeah, I think there was definitely some things in there that I really want to analyze. It was a great meeting. It was very helpful.
Yeah, and I think work on the business, set that time aside, that non-negotiable time that we're going to turn off the phones, and we'll close the office and try to, get some work done, and people will knock on the door, and it's like, maybe we got to put a do not disturb sign on here.
Well, and when you do that, the other thing you're going to find is you're going to add value to your company, because when you create those systems, that's what really brings the value, and that will eventually turn into more profitability for you as well, because those little things that slip through the cracks, those are things that cost you money. Yeah. It costs you time or it costs you money, and that hurts your profitability down the road. So if you can work on those things and set aside those times, that is the most valuable time you can spend in a day, is when you're working on your company. And
any goals for the amount of time per week, or is that just flexible based on how bad things are?
I'll let you guys kind of jump in, but usually what I've been told is if you could set aside 3 to 4 hours a week every week, that would be fantastic.
I like an hour a day.
Okay.
An hour per day, Monday through Friday. Your team will then understand, okay, it's 3 p.m.
Okay.
There's the red light is on.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
They'll get it.
Yeah.
I do 6 hours a week, and then once a quarter, I bring my whole team and we work on the business together.
Oh, cool. That's the whole company or just the management team?
My team is 7, so it's the whole company.
Okay.
So the answer to the question is there isn't necessarily an exact amount of time.
Sure.
It's what you feel you need, and obviously what you can afford to do, but you want to make sure that becomes a priority and not the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
And it's okay to start small and build up.
Sure.
Right, so the most important thing is start.
You're right.
And
you're
as
right.
you have those experiences, just as you said, when we did that, it felt really good and we were really productive.
Yeah.
Let that build. Implement more and more as you go.
And is that process, okay, so yeah, you said you bring the team in once a quarter? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, because I definitely value, I don't ever want to say, hey, we know everything. I want to rely on the talent of our team and the intellect of our team to bring value to us and say, this is what we're struggling with. So I think that's good to bring the team in and get their feedback.
Well, the book Traction talks all about that, but basically you're getting their buy-in to make changes in the company.
Yeah.
And so they're advocating for
on
it
the
too
team.
then.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and then that helps because they see the value and why you're doing those exercises. They see the why, and then they become much more motivated, and then they become your advocates to push it forward. And pretty soon they start holding you accountable as well, which is great.
Yeah.
And that really helps you know, hey, I've got to let the boss do the boss things, and not pull them into everything. So it kind of all works together once you get it rolling.
Yeah. I've got a quick question, if I could. We rely a lot on our field manager, Matthew, and sometimes wonder if we don't have too much on his plate, which is why certain things fall through the cracks. Any comments on that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure you all have some advice. I mean,
He's very capable and competent, so he likes getting things knocked out.
Yeah, and there's some people that just want to keep taking things on, but I think it's nice just to have a very frank conversation with them, to say, hey, we feel like we might be overloading you a little bit, and is there something that you feel that we could take off your plate and give it to someone else to make you more effective. Just have that open dialogue.
Yeah, sometimes a high achiever, they're kind of like the bungee jumper, right? They're going to jump off the...
Yeah, he ain't afraid of nothing.
Yeah, they're going to jump off the cliff
and
then wonder, gosh, do I have too much rope, or is there, right? And they won't discover that until either they come short or you hear splat.
Uh-oh. Time to get a new Matthew.
And so it's up to you to understand whether or not Matt is being a bungee jumper at this point in time. And those high achievers will continue to take it on. And because they don't want to be seen as, man, I can't handle anything that's thrown my way.
Well, fantastic. Earl, Ken, you guys have a great business. Sounds like you're growing and doing very well. And I hope that the advice that you gave gets put to use. And we want to thank you guys for coming on to YG Workshop today.
Thanks for the invitation. It was wonderful.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right, best of luck to you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to Earl and Ken for sitting down on YG Workshop, presented by First Federal Bank and sponsored by Circle Electric and Health Payment Systems. YG Workshop is a collaborative environment designed to help businesses see through their blind spots, consider new perspectives, and grow towards their goals. Do you know an entrepreneur that would like to come on the show? Have them visit younggunsmovement.com and apply. And make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow our podcast so that you don't miss a single episode of YG TV. I'm your host, David Belman, president of Belman Homes. Thanks to our panel, Lori, Ariel, and Mervyn, and our entrepreneurs, Earl and Ken. See you next time.